module on marine mammals, or the section on marine mammals. And so we're going to kind of focus on that, but I want to start and talk a little bit about sharks too, because that's what I did my research in. When I started working as a marine biologist, I worked at Walt Disney World's Living Seas Pavilion in Epcot Center. And so my official title was an aquarist because I worked in an aquarium with aquarium animals, which is a little bit different than working with animals in the wild, obviously. But it gives us a great opportunity to study creatures and know what parameters they need to be kept in captivity. For example, at the time that I was working, they had never been able to keep a white shark in captivity because, believe it or not, white sharks are really tender and delicate and cannot handle the stress of being in a captive environment. Since I was working, I think they have kept a couple of them for short periods of time for study, small ones, but they're still just so fragile. You wouldn't think that an organism like that would be fragile, but they get super stressed out, and sharks can easily get stressed. So that causes physical ailments, and then they don't live very long. So the aquarium itself is a 6 million gallon aquarium. You can go to Disney and see it today. It's a circular aquarium about 3 stories deep, and it's about 300 feet in diameter, so the size of a football field. It's really big. And it has about 100 different species of organisms that are found in the Caribbean. And so it's supposed to be a Caribbean reef, exactly what you would see if you were to dive out in the Caribbean, except for the fact that the coral is not alive, because the coral needs to feed on plankton, and to feed the coral, it would make the water too murky, and that's not very good for Disney. So one of the things that was interesting, and this was unique in an aquarium at the time, was we had dolphins, bottlenose dolphins, which is like the picture you're seeing on the screen, if you can see that screen of the upper left one. And we also had sharks in the same aquarium. And the sharks were large ones. We had a tiger shark at the time, a bull shark, a couple of brown sharks, and lots of little nurse sharks. And so what was interesting was watching them interact. And people would say, oh, the poor dolphin, the sharks are going to eat them. And they were very concerned about that. Now, you guys have studied sharks already. And one of the things about sharks is they are, although they're fascinating creatures and very complex in their design, they're not the brightest bulbs in the ocean. Their brains are actually very small. I don't know if you guys have done the shark dissection, but if you did, the brain of the shark in comparison to the rest of its body is very tiny, with the exception of its olfactory lobes, which are the smelling lobes of the brain. They have much better developed smelling senses, so they have a larger brain capacity to identify those smells, but they're just not very intelligent. And so they react more than they do thinking when it comes to feeding. And so like when you see feeding frenzies, it's like the Shark Week, most people are like, oh, it's Shark Week, let's watch all those videos of sharks eating things. Most of those feeding frenzies are not natural. Most of those things are induced by the producers of the show who want to see sharks eating stuff, and they want to see their teeth bared and everything. And so they chum the water and with blood and get the sharks all excited into their feeding mode, and the sharks just start sinking, and they just continue to eat and eat and eat, and makes this beautiful shot for the television. So what we found initially with the dolphin and the sharks in the same environment was the dolphins, who are very intelligent, they like to play. And of course, if you have a dog, you know dogs like to play. It's a sign of intelligence, play. And dolphins love to play. And so everything becomes a toy. Well, the dolphins would see the sharks, and they would say, giant toy. And they would corral the sharks down to the bottom of the aquarium, let go, and watch the sharks slowly float to the surface. Because remember, sharks don't have swim bladders like other fishes do. They can't control their buoyancy very well. And so they would float like this little wafting back up to the surface, and the dolphins would corral them back down, and they would gang up on them, of course. And the sharks didn't like that. That was stressing the sharks out. So we had to put the dolphins in timeout. Oftentimes it would be, the sharks would obviously be stressed because they would behave very differently after that bullying session with the dolphins. Dolphins just love to play. And so if you go to the the aquarium, the Living Seas Aquarium today, you will notice that 1/4 of the aquarium is quadranted off. There's like a fence. It's wide enough for fishes to go back and forth, but the dolphins and the sharks cannot pass through. And that is, most people think that's to keep the dolphins safe, but it's not. That's to keep the sharks safe and the other animals safe, because the dolphins just love to play, and they don't have a morality of saying, this isn't right, shouldn't be doing this. They'll just play and play and play. So that was one of the unique situations that we had to deal with in the aquarium. You've got your shark tracking